Welcome to the Phantom Zone, come and tag along. We have a hedgehog zooming at the speed of sound. We got games to play, some good, some bad, oh no. And everyone has a part to play. Welcome to the Phantom Zone, come and take a seat as I talk about both on the Nintendo Wii or Halo 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, and Paw Patrol games that will make you go insane. Welcome to the Phantom Zone, get yourself a snack as these hot takes, they're burning, they're spicy when they slap. PS All-Stars had it all, but True Vision's what they lack, and then Jin should make a comeback. Welcome to the Phantom Zone, simple and clean. Space Jam on the Xbox series was a weird thing. Disney DVD UI used to blow me away. And Quiz from Sonic X doesn't look anything like Sora, but what do I do anyway? Welcome to the Phantom Zone, my heart is my key. Super Smash Bros. Should get its own movie. We made live actions, they entered the fray. DuckTales was the game of the decade. All I'm being sharing was a great idea on paper. When you think you're in the clear, spam attacks on your character. Who even are you? Who put you here? The comments they flip-flopping. This is what you hear. You hate Sonic Mania. Now I'm really mad. You can't like that game or that character. You're trash. Why you sound like that? We'll give you a pass. You're not the first and you are not the last. Can I talk about Naruto all of the time? Can I talk about Mario all of the time? Sonic and One Piece, many more in my mind. Can I talk about my hobbies all of the time? Time to talk about an anime nobody likes. Time to talk about a character nobody likes. I don't know why I'm like this, someone give me a sign. Chris, it's now your turn, it is now your time. So, I'm pretty sure I know what you guys are thinking right now.
What are you talking about?
Well, after my 10 plus years of being on this platform, I have had multiple different opinions revolving around different types of things and characters in media, and I've always been under the impression that you don't have to like what I like, but I still want to talk about why I like what I like. To extend an olive branch, I love the Kingdom Hearts narrative and story. It's super fascinating to me with a lot of different twists and turns that kept my brain rushing. But I definitely know that there's some people that the KH narrative isn't for them, and that's completely cool. What I'm trying to get at here is the fact that I have seen both the love and hate whenever it comes to the fandoms that I'm a part of, through multiple different means, through multiple different franchises. Like, there's people that actually love Super Mario Kart over Mario Kart 8. Like, the oldest Mario Kart known to man, people still defend that game as one of the best kart racers. Me personally, I don't really see that, but I can also do the inverse, like for example, Super Mario Sunshine, one of my favorite Super Mario games ever made. It's fun yet challenging and has a nice beast aesthetic, and the music just brings me back to my childhood wonder. And yes, I do know that comparing a mainline Mario game to a spin-off like Mario Kart may seem a little weird, but the gist still stands. This train of thought applies to everything, especially characters in my opinion. No matter if it's the simplest stories or big blockbuster films, characters mean so much to me. A well-written character means a lot because I can identify with the character and take on what they're feeling. It's why characters like Izuku Midoriya connect with me, because as someone who feels like the minority, I can still make a big impact similar to Deku. But then there's someone like Luz from Our House, a girl who basically found herself in a brand new world with a brand new set of friends and family she can call her own. She gets to live out the escapist fantasy that I honestly wish I could at times. Obviously, her character arc throughout the series is a big one, and I may or may not be coming back to it in this video. And of course, if you've been around here before, you've probably heard me praise Sora from Kingdom Hearts as one of my favorite video game characters, as he embodies what I feel is my personality. He's kind, he's sweet, he's a boy that likes to discover new things, he's socially awkward at times, but the only difference is that I can computer. I truly hope someone gets that joke. He is quick to stand up for his friends, and he fights any evil that comes to threaten him or his family. Also, similar to Luz, I will be bringing up Sora a lot in this video, just setting up the breadcrumbs. But the point I'm trying to drive home is the fact that these characters are way deeper than most people give them credit for. You see someone like Cloud Strife and you just think, oh my gosh, he is so awesome! But then it turns out that he's a lot more of a deeper character than you probably initially thought. You look at someone like Naruto Uzumaki, which on the outside, he just looks like a lovable goofball, but when you look deeper into Naruto's backstory and his motives as a character, they're a lot more deeper than anyone could ever imagine. Like, he is fighting tooth and nail to bring back someone that relates to him on a deeper level. With that being said, after all the examples I've give, they're not 100% perfect, but they're perfect to me in my opinion. However, some fans of these franchises flounder these characters so much that they kind of forgot why they do the things they do. Now let's make one thing crystal clear. Whenever I'm talking about fans, I'm talking about the extremist fans. Fans that are on social media basically adding into the flanderization of these characters. I'm not talking about everybody in the fandom. But enough of the stalling, let's crack this egg wide open, because I'm going to talk about Christopher Thorndike. Sonic X's second protagonist, Christopher Thorndike, is probably one of the most hated anime characters of all time. I bet if you're newer to the franchise, you don't really know who this character is, but whenever I see any sort of Sonic hot takes video, this character always pops up. And to be frank, I'm kind of sick of it at this point. Now, I have friends and acquaintances on this page and in real life who don't really like Chris at all, like they actually hate him. And I know that defending this character is gonna be an uphill battle, but I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that this character deserves better than what the world has thrown at it. And I would do my best in this video to explain why Chris Thorndike is not that bad of character, and potentially extending it to why I like human characters in the Sonic franchise. Now before I start, I want to address a couple things. One, I will not be going in depth in the Sonic Adventure 2 arc. I will bring it up from time to time, but I've already covered it in my top 5 Sonic characters video, and I felt like I already did a good job over there. Second, this is a big hot take, probably one of my biggest hot takes I've ever had on this page, given how much this character is hated in the Sonic community. And so if you don't like this character, my goal is not to change your opinion, but to give you a different viewpoint as someone who does love this character. Also, for the sake of my sanity and to make this video as easier to digest as possible, I'll be mainly referring to the 4Kids dub version of Sonic X. Now, the sub and the dub do have minor differences, and some plot beats work better with the sub than the dub, but unfortunately, I don't have the footage of the sub in order to show you guys everything, so I'm mainly going to be talking about the 4Kids dub, as that's the one I'm most attached to, as it's the one I grew up with. Thank you TMS for basically making my point irrelevant in the process of editing this video, but whatever. Some people may call me a chaos control freak for liking this character, but hey, they have to live and learn. But ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time for me to talk about how Chris Thorndike is actually a great character. Okay, where to begin? Well, I guess I should talk about who this character is for people out of the know.
My name's Christopher.
Chris is your average boy with a few benefits, given the fact that he lives in a beautiful mansion complete with a pool and everything. But he doesn't live here alone. Enter Professor Oak, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Emmett Brown over here is actually Chris's grandfather and is a big asset to Team Sonic. He also has a lovely butler and a lovely maid that helps out Chris whenever he needs it. Now, every adventure begins with a first step. And Chris's first step was running downstairs and going into the pool to save none other than Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, Sonic came here from a completely other world from ours, and was actually fighting Dr. Eggman trying to save Queen the Rabbit when all of a sudden, Chaos Control happened. The power of Chaos Control was never seen before by the main cast, and all of them get engulfed by this white void. Sonic wakes up in an unfamiliar world. He has been reversed isekai'd into our world. Of course, police and government have to get involved because an alien came out of nowhere, and Sonic makes a run for it, even outrunning some of the fastest cores that they even have. And as Sonic basically flies through the sky, he realizes that he isn't Buzz Lightyear and falls down into Chris's pool, and that's how they meet. The next day, Chris is on the phone talking to his mom about the events that inspired last night, but instead of calling Sonic a hedgehog, he calls him a cat. Now, the subject about Chris's family life I'll get into a little later in this video, but for now, his parents are just nowhere to be seen right now and they're out doing stuff. Later, it turns out that the news and everyone basically doesn't know what Sonic was or how any of these creatures have gotten here. And this sets up the premise of Sonic X Season 1 and the fact that Sonic and just any of the other Mobians just have to basically stay hidden from any sort of humans. Why do they need to stay hidden? Well, if they don't, then they will get kidnapped by the government and tested on. And guess who gets kidnapped yet again? Now with the knowledge that his friends are in danger, his loyalty takes charge as Sonic rushes to go and save Queen, but Chris stops him as they think of a battle plan to go save their friends. Professor Oak finds out that they're in a place called Area 99. Yeah, they weren't even being subtle with that. And so the three of them take off, much to Sonic's dismay as he can do it a little faster and he probably doesn't want to endanger innocent people. Doctor Who gives Sonic an infrared thing that goes over his eyes to basically make him not detectable to any of the type of security cameras over there, and Sonic then rushes off to go save Cream the Rabbit. They make it a little close, and Sonic and Dr. Octopus are basically helping Sonic out, being the men in the chair. The rest of this episode is Sonic basically doing what Sonic does best, destroying robots and helping those who can't help themselves. Until they are cornered, don't know what's going to happen, until some machines come out of nowhere and decide to help out our heroes, crafted by the one, the only, Tails the Fox. Chris is overjoyed at the fact that Sonic is safe and he managed to make it out, but then quickly turns into parent mode, being super scared that he could have gotten caught. And honestly, I might act the same too. My dude literally broke into this world's equivalent of Area 51 and got away scot-free. I shouldn't even need to say it, but the police should be on their butts right now. Chris should be completely scared right now. And the reason I'm making such a big deal about this is because this is the first instance where a lot of people started to hate Chris. Oh, he's such a buzzkill because he was talking bad about Sonic despite just being happy 5 seconds ago. Boy, what are you even talking about? He went and broke into this world's equivalent of Area 51. Area 51 is super secure and it's under the government's rule. If you were to break into that, every type of military in America will be on your butt. This is the setup for a broader discussion, but what people don't understand is that Chris is a boy. He's not like Monkey D. Luffy where he has superpowers. He is a normal human boy, like you and me. But yeah, these are Chris's first real friends and the first connections that he ever really made with someone, and so it makes sense that he doesn't want that friendship to cause any trouble or anything. But it turns out that the Mobian crew living with Chris is a double-edged sword, as it turns out that Chris's mom and dad are going to be coming home after school, which is a big no-no given the fact that Sonic is basically wanted. But everyone understands the situation at hand and agrees to help out any way they can. And another obstacle that got thrown in the way, the government sends in this guy to spy on Chris because he might know where Sonic is. And of course, in this episode, Dr. Eggman sends a robot to Chris's school to be a substitute teacher, and only this guy is only sus about it. This is 100% a filler episode until the very end of the episode, where Chris is reunited with his mom and dad, being happy after the crazy adventure of a day that he has endured. I should bring up the fact that Chris's mom and dad are so busy because one of them is the CEO of Kyber Corporation and the other one is a movie actress. But they're barely in this series at all, but they're mainly here in Season 1 for a discussion that we may talk about later down the road. As Chris is not mainly the vocal point, it's mostly just battles with Dr. Eggman, Chris's character does get a little bit sidelined until near the end of Season 1, where things really start to pick up. But before I get to that, I want to address another complaint that this doesn't necessarily evolve around Chris, but revolves around this show in general. Most people hate this show because it was mainly aired here in America under 4Kids, and a lot of people really didn't like 4Kids even back in the day, as 4Kids basically censored a bunch of stuff for a younger demographic. But here's the thing though, they still had darker material and the stories were still really good, despite obviously trying to aim it at a different demographic. Oh, I'm sorry, 4Kids only makes bad anime and they don't actually have anything of meaning to them? Well, I'll like to beg to differ, because before any of us knew what sub and dub were, these were our first introductions to the world of anime. So, what was the plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds again? Shaman King is about spirits of the dead? Almost every single Pokemon movie has one of the monsters dying or a kid dying? Man, there's so much death and destruction in these shows that a lot of people say are not dark enough. Now, I'm not here defending 4Kids as a company because they've made so many stupid decisions, one of them giving us one of the worst dubs of any anime. What I'm saying is that that's the exception and not the rule. You can tell good storytelling even if you're marketed towards a younger demographic. My go-to example of this is the Kingdom Hearts franchise, which if you've been around this page, you should know that this series can get dark in all the right places. The main character dying in the first game. What does it mean to live life to the fullest? You are your own person. You're not trying to fulfill anyone else's desires. Connections we made with a bunch of people can still impact their lives whether they know it or not. And this series had the same rating, the same ESRB rating as Sonic Adventure 2, which this type of story is in Sonic X and it's basically unaltered. So again I say, people who don't think 4Kids can be dark, I beg to differ. And the reason I'm getting so hung up on this is because this was the only excuse I've heard for multiple decades on why they didn't like Sonic X as a whole, and in turn devaluing both this and Kingdom Hearts by comparing Sora and Chris. Both characters are well written, but they're two separate characters with two different arcs. Sorry for a little bit of a rant, but let's get back to Chris's arc. The entire crux of Season 1 is fighting the 7 Chaos Emeralds and getting Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and the crew back home. And Chris knows this deep down that someday he's going to have to say goodbye to his best friend. Yeah, sure, Chris made other friends, but they didn't share the same connections as he had with Sonic and the crew. Also, Chris's home life isn't what you will call perfect, especially if you only see it from the outside. Yeah, sure, having wish parents is probably a blessing to some people, but for Chris, it just left him feeling alone. Prepared to go on one last adventure, Knuckles and Chris goes and finds the last Chaos Emerald thanks to a robot named Lucky, a robot created by Dr. Eggman. They ended up giving them all the Chaos Emeralds, which turns out to be a trap card.
No! My Beaver Warrior!
Now the race is on as Sonic races his way to save Chris. And he does what he does best, going fast and destroying any robots that came in his way. But even when he's down and almost beaten, he sticks to his never give up mentality that has inspired Chris since day one. Despite all of his efforts, he does get hit by the robot and Chris thinks the absolute worst. And he has enough will and determination to break free and snag the last bit of the Chaos Emeralds, claiming that they're mine, no one else's, because if Sonic can't have it, then no one else can. Many people may see this as being selfish of him, but he wasn't wanting to use it for his own personal gain. He wanted to make sure that his friends got home safely no matter what. He ended up getting saved by Trouge Defends, but things got slippery as the Chaos Emeralds fall into the sea as all the Chaos Emeralds come together. Phenomenon that kicked off this entire series is now happening again as Chaos Control engulfs everything, and Super Sonic is reborn. After one big final attack on the giant robot, everything engulfs into white. Thinking that they're going to end up going back home, Chris fully wakes up to Sonic standing right in front of him. Chris embraces Sonic, not wanting him to leave like everyone else in his life has left. But then he vanishes. Without knowing what is happening, he screams out,
You can't go!
but as the fog clears up, it turns out that Sonic's world and our world collided into one, and now elements of Sonic's world is appearing in our world, symbolizing that the adventure just got started. And yet, this is not the end of his character arc, but as a season finale, this still hits so hard as it did when I was a kid. From here, we have the adventure arcs, which admittedly Chris doesn't play a big role in the first adventure arc, but his actions in Sonic Adventure 2 more than make up for it, as if it wasn't for Chris trying to break into Prison Island and save Sonic, he would never have met Shadow and would have never met to talk him to join the good side. Chris has the empathy that Shadow needs to hear because they both have experienced loss in different ways, but they're one and the same. People deal with loss in many different ways, as shown by multiple different characters like Lunar from the Owl House, Dewey, Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales, Naruto and Sasuke. There's so many examples that I can give, but you get the point. But nothing built can last forever, as all the elements of Sonic's world and our world are colliding into one, basically disrupting the balance. And so with a heavy heart throughout the next couple of episodes, they find multiple ways to try to get Sonic and the crew back to their world and reversing everything back to the way it was. But no, he doesn't want Sonic to leave. He doesn't have to have Sonic leave. He runs away with Sonic, running as far away from his normal life, his rich life as possible, just to be with his best friend. And Sonic, being loyal to Chris as a best friend should be, he allows him to stay just for a little bit longer as Chris finds out what is best for both of them. And Sonic is oddly chill about this entire situation, given the fact that Chris basically stopped him from going home. But Sonic and Chris make it back to Chris's old cabin they used to go on family vacations with back before the family became rich. Sonic admittedly tries to help out Chris by getting some camp wood, but he doesn't want Sonic's help. He can do it by himself. He wants to prove to him that he has grown and he is strong enough in order to take care of himself, but he also doesn't want to leave his best friend that he sacrificed his own life to go and save. And he's so confused and conflicted at the point that Sonic is not even upset at him for basically stopping him going back to his home. Sonic tells Chris that the fact that he can make the final decision, he can have the choice of having Sonic stay here forever to the best of his abilities, or he can allow him to go back home. It's up to Chris and Chris alone. And Sonic doesn't scream at him, he doesn't yell at him, he speaks with the same voice he always has since he very first ever met Chris. But his good heart knows that deep down, taking him from his world will only just be a selfish desire that he has. He has to learn to let go and actually let go of Sonic, and he will eventually meet friends just like him in the future. Chris's attachment issues came from a parents that weren't there for him when he needed it, and he just felt like he couldn't meet any new friends until he met Sonic on that fateful day. And so with that, Sonic promised him one last adventure before he leaves. A big adventure going at the speed of sound. And in the end, he was returned back to his world. But now Chris relives his entire adventure up until this point, when he talked to Shadow about joining the good side, when he fought tooth and nail for his friends. And this is his adventure. He got to experience it one last time with Sonic as they rush around the speed of sound. This reminds me of the relationship between Andy and Woody in Toy Story, and especially in Toy Story 3. Woody's loyalty won't let him go with Bonnie without Andy making that final decision, and I see a lot of that within Chris and Sonic's relationship in Sonic X. The season ends with a flash-forward episode of Chris as a teenager, meeting so many new friends, it's even in a relationship. And he knows that one day that him and Sonic will cross paths once again. And this is why I love Sonic X and Chris as a secondary protagonist. Through his eyes, we get to see a wacky world of Sonic adventures alongside getting to know who Chris is and learning to overcome his fear of abandonment. And they did a similar job to Wade in the Knuckles TV show, and I feel like it's even better than what Chris was originally. You can have such a strong set of characters despite them being human or Mobian or whoever. They can work as long as the writing is good and the characters are well written. I don't have a problem with human characters in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. This series touched the lives of so many people, no matter who they are, and I firmly believe a good aspect to introduce new people into the world is to have a little sense of familiarity, and human characters in the Sonic series is that. I am a big fan of this anime and this character, and I apologize if I got anything wrong or if I glossed over an important thing or two, but I did my absolute best to put everything on screen that I love about Chris Thorndike and his character arc and journey throughout Sonic X. And so, with all that being said, I can now stand proudly and say, yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, TheGamingTrouge here. I am a big fan of Chris Thorndike. And no, I don't have any problems with me. As some angry Sonic fans surrounded me, but I said what I said, time to deal with the pain. Maybe just the ember someone found in the flame. I am just a guy making others smile every day. I hope you enjoyed the song, hope that made me today. I hope you like the video, watch it every day. Just a love scene like I own the day. I hope you enjoy everyone and everything and anything and everything. Have a nice day. Special thanks to KattChatt for being a member of the Kingdom Keepers. If you want to become a Kingdom Keeper, link is in the description below.